Hey guys, so okay, welcome back to the letter. Now that I've had a moment to breathe, recover from that horrible ordeal that we suffered, let's continue with Ashton's chapter as he sticks with Isabella here. And this is the most I've been tired my whole damn life. Not during training, when my superior first asked me to drop 100, not after a stakeout, but after smashing a fucking elevator button repeatedly. I slumped to the ground beside her, worn out, but I don't let myself feel relief again, not until we're out of here. Isabella seems to be of the same mind as she looks to me. Still, I find myself sharing a shaky laugh with her.
We're okay. We're fine. Right?
I hope so.
Yeah, we're good. Alive. Fuck, we should have taken the goddamn stairs.
Twice I've seen it. Thrice if I include the party. Unless I'm tripping balls without realizing it, there's no doubt in my mind that this is actually happening. I don't want to believe it, but with the truth staring me in the face, it'll be stupidity to deny the reality of the matter. Oh, thank God. We're outside of the freaking building. Another journal entry. There's like 50 journal entries for Saturday here. What a long day. Ashton and Isabella beat a quick exit after getting what they needed, making sure not to leave evidence of their break-in. On their way out, however, the elevator malfunctioned and dropped them in the building's basement parking instead, where a familiar face welcomed them. Indeed. Not one that I love to see. As soon as the lift hits the ground floor, we hightail it out of the building. Seb's sound asleep when we pass by his station. However, in the face of what we've seen, everything I've faced tonight, we really can't care less who will still see us on our way out. The sooner we get away from this place, the farther, the better. I'm just not sure if that also means being safe. She almost got us, damn it! The fucking thing almost had us. Shit, it was only by luck that we managed to get the fucking elevator unstuck. The blasted thing not worked in the last second. I need some air. Fresh, breathable air that doesn't stink like death and gore all at once. I'm panicking. Christ. Losing focus. With another person here, I can't afford that right now. Isabel hasn't said anything, but I know she's more shaken than I am. I can't lose it when another person's depending on me.
Remember your training, Frey.
Another deep breath. And soon I'm starting the engines and driving us off. After that little incident, somewhere open would be good. Someplace I won't get trapped. Luxman Park brings a welcome relief, though only by some. The chill that has seeped in my bones is still there, furling and unfurling underneath my skin. If I don't move, if I don't busy myself with anything, soon my brain will go haywire. It's the last thing I want to happen when there are plenty of things to do. But this already answers all of it, doesn't it? Those deaths. Just how many copies of the letter are out there? Isabella can't have the only one if other people are also getting cursed. Shit, that's a good point. Could it be that the one she has shown us is just one of 5? Maybe even more? That whole pass this to 5 people business is ridiculous, but at this point, is it still? All in all, we found 21 people who might have read the letter, 7 of them deceased, 8 if we count Cooper. And that's only with what we can find right now. We have no idea how the contractors and specialists hired from outside the company are doing, if we are in any way affected. How many more people are suffering? I wonder if we do pass it on to 5 people, are we safe? Technically, Isabella passed it on to 5 people. How many are still missing? How many are dead? Can I still even blame the Wrights for this? If anything, they might be in danger as well. I don't think I can wish a curse upon anyone, no matter how big of a douchebag Loot Wright is. There's also that woman. How do we get out of this mess? How do we get away from her? Shit. Still so many things we need to look into. Yet all my body wants to do is pace, burn out whatever excess energy there is in me.
Ashton, I'm getting dizzy. Will you sit down?
It's the first time Isabella has said anything. She's been sitting quietly since we dropped here. Better and less distracting than watching her nervous habits, I suppose. She certainly seems calm now. Too calm, in fact, for someone who's just seen something terrible. But it's been more than a week for her already. People do get desensitized to things at some point, even someone like Isabella. Who knows what's going on inside her head, though? Inside mine. There are too many and none of them would sit still.
I'm not going crazy, am I? I saw that. I'm pretty sure I saw that. I didn't inhale anything weird. Just shit. Shit. Isabella, please tell me that wasn't...
What I'm not expecting when I turned to her is mirth, one that she could only barely contain.
You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Why the fuck are you laughing, Isabella? I'm not quite sure what she sees on my face, but in the next second a laugh suddenly bursts out from her. Oh, this is not voiced. I'm so sorry. It's just that. You should have seen the look on your face back there. Yes, right. Sure. I'm not the one who panicked. You almost ripped my arm off. Yeah, but... Isabella, this isn't funny. That woman almost got us. We could have ended up dead.
I know. I'm really sorry.
Sorry, I don't know why that wasn't voiced.
But this is just too precious to miss. You really lost your shit for a moment there.
Yeah, I'm glad you could laugh.
You're trying to get back at me, aren't you?
Well, I'm not the one who kept calling someone scaredy cat for years. How does it feel?
I'm not scared.
Really? Because it doesn't seem that way to me. At all.
I'm allowed to be scared of freaking specters trying to kill us, Isabella. What the hell's wrong with you right now?
I'm not, alright? I'm just... I just don't know what to do right now.
Immediately after, the moment passes, replaced by another tense silence. Laughter dies in her lips as everything sinks in. We're in deep shit. It's finally caught up and hit us like a ton of bricks. Hit me more than anyone. Because she's been warning us of this since day one. And I'm the first person who brushed it off. Despite that, she still reaches out to me, tugging at my sleeve almost desperately. Her hands are trembling, and there's a tremor in her voice when she speaks. Without the cheer, only fear remains. One that she's been burdened with from the beginning.
We're still going to do something about it. Right? Not just stand around and let that thing get us.
Damn right we are. Unexpectedly, she leans forward. She leans her forehead against my arm, and her grip on my sleeve tightens. There's desperation in there, a quiet plea.
Don't want to lose anyone anymore, Ash.
I wish I could give her that promise. But with so many unknowns, so many things I don't understand about this, how could I? Why she still trusts that I can do something about this baffles me. It all feels wholly undeserved, considering the way I've treated her. Yet, despite my reluctance, I find myself returning her hold in kind. A grasp, warm and light enough for comfort. Not a promise, but the closest thing to it. Alright, next day, October 30, Sunday. Darkness blurs the edges of my vision. Black tendrils twist and coil around my limbs. Soft footfalls echo in the far distance, scurrying, scampering, moving in an odd rhythm with the sharp, piercing notes of her laughter. A scream threatens to burst, but my throat closes off, ever so slowly. A chill seeps into every nerve in my body, washing away every sensation in me apart from one. There's only fear. Once again her laughter echoes, a sound both bitter and unforgiving. It's the last thing I hear before she reaches for me. The ground trembles. The world slows to a stop. Morning breaks in a blurry mess of vivid shapes and colors. Oddly, there's no feeling of terror or confusion gripping me, despite the vague images that has driven me from sleep. Awareness kicks in shortly, though slow and sluggish, as I blink away the last remnants of unconsciousness from my eyes. The early morning light already streams from the open windows, when the memory sets in, and the room finally comes into focus. Isabella's apartment. Pushing myself upright, my eyes wander idly towards her prone form. She's hunched over the coffee table, with her arms under her head while she continues to rest. Then, to the chaos of papers and folders we've left scattered over it, before sleep has claimed both of us. We've bunkered down here last night, after both our nerves have calmed down, mine for the most part. Staying together was an unspoken invitation. And anyway, I'm pretty sure neither of us wants to remain alone when there's that woman. She's still one in the first place? One that would normally call a human? Can it still feel guilt? Does it understand pain?
Fuck. I'd rather get charged for breaking and entering than mess with whatever that thing was any day.
Not that thinking about this still matters when all our lives are in her hands. She's dangerous. If we don't do anything about her in this curse, we'll definitely be pushing daisies soon. I can't let that happen. I've dallied on this long enough, left all my friends in harm's way after the warnings they've all given me. Besides, beneath the terror and the adrenaline that keeps me running, knowing what lies ahead for Isabella makes it hard not to take action. The paper sitting on the edge of the table calls my attention. At this, light against my hand when I reach for it. It's caught my eye the night before, but with the lot we still need to go through, I've simply ignored it. The logo emblazoned on the top of the page, however, provides this paper a whole new meaning. Not for me, but definitely for her.
A scholarship grant, huh?
Oh, for Isabella. I've only ever heard her talk about this once or twice. Completing her degree, that is. She rarely goes about it in great detail, preferring to keep it to herself. Perhaps it's the fact that she thinks she's already too old to be chasing after it. It's been 5 years after all, but I've caught enough snippets of conversation between her and Zach to know she's never given up on it. Despite how things have panned out with her father, she's one step closer to this part of her life. As silly as this may sound, coming from a friend, I'd like to give her the chance to have this. Whether this means stepping out of my comfort zone and figuring out what the deal with this curse is, I'll do so. If only to see that same smile on her from that time again. These days, the only moments she seems to show it is when she's asleep. Like right now, no matter how uncomfortable she appears. I smile at my own forms, despite this when I glance at her sleeping form again. She hasn't moved since, her shoulders rising and falling in a slow, even rhythm with her breathing. You wouldn't think she has problems this way.
If only that were true.
Sighing, I place the paper back where I've gotten it, carefully, so I won't accidentally wrinkle or damage it in some way. and finally push myself off my makeshift bed. Isabella shifts when I carry her off from the floor and over to her bed, but she doesn't wake. Simply tucks herself comfortably under the covers I pull over her. Briefly though, she mumbles something to herself and draws in another deep breath.
Becca, Ashton's being dumb again.
She drifts back to her deepest state of sleep after, like it hasn't been interrupted by the slightest movement earlier, but the small smile on her lips remain. When I find myself returning in kind.
Who sleeps like a rock now?
It's better this way. Better to leave her to her dreams for the moment, which I hope are better than the ones I've had. She'll have time to worry about our problems later when she wakes up. For now, this will be another thing I don't want to take away from her. A moment of respite, no matter how fleeting. She deserves it, after everything she's been put through, what I've put her through. In the meantime, I still have 2 other people I need to check with. Isabella will definitely get in a tizzy if I don't check on them. Cold Luxborn air meets me upon stepping out the hallway. Not unusual in itself. This is what Luxborn's weather is supposed to be. A bit cold, damp for the most part, and more often than not, terribly drab with an occasional sprinkling of rain every few hours. The sky is still clear, but I'll give it a day or two before the weather takes a turn for the worse. I've complained about the awful rains for years, despite having lived here my entire life. I have to admit, though, seeing it return to the usual feels extremely reassuring. At least, something's still normal in the world, when I can no longer think the same for the situation we're in. A nightmare. That's probably what this is. Usually I'll say, I've been through worse, but that's simply another lie I've often told myself, isn't it? And I've fed myself a great deal of lies through the years, just so I won't have to think about it the next day. Maybe we won't even have this problem if I haven't been running away and ignoring things, hiding them someplace no one will see, because I've since believed doing so is a show of weakness.
The fuck do I know about ghosts, though?
What is Zach? What is Rebecca? Z-Man has mentioned dreaming about a woman. Whether it's the same one we've been seeing, I've yet to ask. Bottom line, he likely knows as much about this as I do. Hell, Rebecca's probably in the same boat, grasping for anything that might provide an answer, a way out of this. What can any of us do, when all of us lacks any understanding of what's happening? One thing's clear about this, however. That thing is after us because of the letter. Both Rebecca and Zach have seen it too. She'll go after them as well. Yet here I am, walking up Becca's door one slow step at a time, a stalling tactic to allow myself some time to put the mess in my head in a better order. How to phrase this, when there's a 90% chance she's still pissed about a whole different matter. It's the only reason we didn't check on her last night, aside from the ungodly hour Isabella and I arrived. We'll only alarm her by showing up in her home in the middle of the night, acting like babbling lunatics, and her anger can last quite a while. These days it seems the only one she can easily forgive is Isabella. But even with her, Becca's fuming still takes hours. I run my hand through my hair and straighten out my jacket before knocking. Once, twice, and 3 times just to be sure she's heard me, even if she's asleep. She's usually awake by now, though.
Hey, Becca, it's Ash. Open up. Don't tell me you're still in bed.
Oh god, here we're gonna find out the truth of our actions. Stick and stick by. No answer from her, and dread has started to creep up. I've been trained to handle dire situations, but the feeling has been doing that quite frequently since last night. My mind begins to anticipate the worst. In the next minute, concern is mixed in with my thoughts and I bang my fist on the door. Louder this time. She'll definitely be livid, but I'd rather face her wrath than a dead body.
Becca, it's Ash. There's something we need to talk about right away. Open up, I know you're...
Your girlfriend left early this morning, pretty boy. So if you could do us a bloody favor and shut up, that'd be real fucking polite.
My hand pauses short of landing another heavy knock. From the other unit, Rebecca's other neighbor peeks in through his door, though I see nothing but a bundle of blankets. I'll say they need help from being devoured by their sheets, but it sounds like he's just fine. He's a huge asshole too. Course of action. Some people like him won't ruin your day. Act like the nicest person on the planet. It's done me wonders when I was a rookie patrolling the streets. No need to match his temper.
Oh, did she say where she was going?
I don't know. She said something about meeting someone or something, in case Filipina girl over there asks. Well, what am I, her keeper? You know, some people want to sleep in on a bloody Sunday, so keep it down. Just looking forward to this weekend. Thanks, you damn git.
Well, there's no need to be an ass about it. I'll get out of your...
He slams his door shut without warning, but not before muttering a string of very colourful words about me. Probably thinks I won't hear him inside the 4 walls of his apartment.
Jerk.
And at the end of it, a sigh. So Rebecca's not here. I must have missed her by an hour or so. But at least she's not alone. She should be safe. In theory. More so, if the person she's meeting is who I'm thinking. Nevertheless, I still can't help but worry. It's an easy thing, continuing down increasingly darker lines of thought. To act brashly, to find out where she is and go straight there, without deliberating on my actions first. There's Zach to boot. Rebecca's not alone, but I can't say the same for the big guy. A simple phone call to the both of them should do the trick. It'll ease my nerves at any rate. The better than rushing over to Zach's place or assuming Rebecca's whereabouts and finding out they're not where I've guessed they should be. Assuming the worst will come next, which I'd rather avoid this early. Any other reason I won't bother them, but an emergency begs for urgency. This is one, right? Even if it isn't, anxiety from concern dulls judgment, something I most certainly can't afford to lose at any given time, especially right now. Any means to calm it will do wonders for the muddled mess my mind is already in. Pulling up my phone, I thumb through the screen until it ends up on a group with only Zach's, Rebecca's, and Isabella's numbers listed. Other people will probably say I keep too few friends when they chance on this. To some extent, it's true. I can easily name about 100 people I've been acquainted with throughout the years. Colleagues, blockmates from uni, neighbors, those sort of people. They all come and go. But these three have chosen to stay for some reason, without wanting or asking for anything. Unlike the others, none has Zach's kindness, Rebecca's patience, nor the sincerity in Isabella's eyes. One day, these guys are just there. The next thing I know, being with them eases it. That heavy, somber feeling lingering in the air when you stand alone in your apartment, or something as simple as spending your day off without anyone. I'll say it's loneliness, but this carries much more depth than that, if I can help it. I don't want to lose any of them to some stupid curse. A phone call may be the least comforting thing at the moment. Honestly, I prefer being in the same room with them right now, but I'll take what I can get. Becca first. She'll get angry at me for worrying about her. She isn't some helpless damsel in distress after all. She isn't the shy little girl I knew when we were children. We're already far from the people we were back then, but that's more than enough reason to check in on her. I don't have to imagine her taking anything head on. She'll do it, instead of asking for help when she needs it. I don't care if she gets mad at me, if only to know that she's fine. A ring. In the silence of the hallway. Its sound alone might as well be sharp enough to pierce through my ears. Another second passes. 2, 3. But when, on the 9th ring, it goes straight to her voicemail, a cold feeling instantly lodges in my stomach.
Rebecca Gales here. You've reached my voicemail. Sorry if I can't get to you right now.
Oh my god, I feel so bad right now.
Oh, and if this is Isabella, yes, you're free to reheat the food in my fridge. Otherwise, leave a message.
Oh my god. My heart's pounding. Probably just busy, that's all. Though I still barely manage to keep my voice even when I speak.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
Becca will be alright. Is alright. She's safe. She's with someone else. In the event that woman shows up, she'll have someone with her. Someone she'll be able to ask for help. She's safe. She can handle herself. Becca might have a fiery temper, but she knows when she's faced with something she can't handle herself. Rebecca will see my missed call, and she'll call me back. Though I don't express it enough, Rebecca is someone I consider important to me. She's been my friend for the longest. Anybody else would have been fed up with me and left. The girl stuck by me, no matter how big of a jerk I've been. There's Zach and Isabella now too, of course. I'll always be thankful for having them around. The worst times before, however, Becca was there. No one believes it when I say it, but I've surely had my awful moments as a bratty kid and as a horrible teen. Issues. I've too many of them to count and refuse to deal with for a time. At least, that's what Andrew likes to tell me. I tend to think nothing of it. It's mellowed down over the years, thanks to the professor mostly. But at times, I do wonder if it still burdens me the way it did all those years ago. After all, I was terrible, especially around the time of my parents' separation. Looking back at it now, I had no reason to direct all my frustration towards everyone else. While I wasn't a kid who lashed out at anyone, preferring to keep it to myself and turning those negative feelings into more productive things. I've grown distant from a lot of people because of it. From my old friends back in my old school, and the neighbors I've hung out with before moving. A habit I've likely brought with me into adulthood. I was just so angry with everyone and everything. All I kept thinking about was myself, wondering why me. In retrospect, I was a selfish little bastard who thought the world revolved around me. That I shouldn't have been going through it. I believed my behavior was entitled, that I had the right. Tough times, but she stuck with me. Snapped me out of my little sulk, as she often phrases it, whenever she sees the chance to bring it up. She didn't tolerate my bullshit, but she didn't leave me alone either. If anything, the whole thing made her stick around. Her concern may have grown a bit overbearing as the years went by, but she's still an old friend, nevertheless. I owe her a lot. That won't change.
Damn it. Where are you, Becca?
Another message left on her voicemail. Then on my third call, I hang up. For the time being, I can't do anything more than to wait for her to return my calls. Worrying aimlessly won't get me anywhere. Zach, on the other hand, that guy attracts trouble no matter how much he tries to avoid it. Doesn't help how he hasn't been too hot lately with a lot of people. His mention of plans yesterday doesn't sit too well with me either. He might be the next responsible adult after Rebecca, out of the four of us, but I've still got to check on the big guy. Make sure he's doing okay at the very least, whatever he has planned on doing. While I'm asking for it, All I'm asking is for it to not be idiotic. He's a sensible guy, I'm sure. However, desperation clings and pushes people to do things, rational or irrational, it doesn't matter. Clear thinking flies out the window the moment you're in danger, and I sincerely hope he has not found himself in a tricky situation. His phone doesn't even ring before he answers, or his voicemail at least.
Hey, it's Zach. Well, a voicemail anyway. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. So, just leave a message, yeah? And no, Ash, you're not allowed to lockpick your way into my apartment again. Just do what any other decent human being does and call if I'm not around. Thanks.
I like how the voicemails just address their friends straight up. Did he turn it off? Why? I don't want to assume the worst yet. Maybe he's forgotten to charge it? Can't be. That guy can be a bit of a Boy Scout, even more so than I am as a cop. He's the type who has an extra battery or a power bank in his bag if he ever needs it. And he always does. He won't say anything or brag about it, but he's got quite a roster of VIP freelance clients. He won't just leave his phone dead in case he's on the field, particularly when people will likely be looking for him. He always leaves his connection open whenever clients or his friends need him. Zach is reliable like that.
Why isn't anyone answering?
His mobile in and out of range area sounds more plausible, although the thought of it doesn't completely shake off the unease. Unlike Rebecca and I, he took the time to listen to what Isabella said, and even if he didn't believe it, he was definitely the first one to offer help, or try to do something. If he ends up trouble doing whatever it is, so help me, I'm going to... Well, I can't be rash, I'm aware of that. Been running the same reminder in my head since last night. But if something happens, I'm certain my reaction won't be pretty.
Yo, Zach, call me back, alright? I wanted to check in and, yeah, just please call me back.
We even use his real name, Zach. Not even Z-Man. It's usually a joke between us when I say he's the Watson to my Sherlock. I don't see him as some assistant to put aside until he's needed, like some people like to believe, though. He's not some pity friend I keep around to make myself look good.
If anything, he's the one who stayed by me out of pity.
Oh man, Ashton's having all these revelations about his friends. Zach's the one who puts up with me the most of the time, even when he doesn't need to. It's not a case of a cool cop who helped a minority. In truth, I was a hard-headed, hot-tempered, and reckless rookie, up until I met him. It wasn't anything sudden, and some part of me is still that rookie. But I've grown, thanks to him. He tempers that part of me. Considering how our first impressions went, I'm lucky he stuck around. Beck and I may have spent a lot of years together as children, but Zach, he's probably the closest thing I'll call to a best friend, though it's more than that. A camaraderie that no words can express. He has my back, and I'll always have his. He's a brother I've never had the luck of ever having, only child and all.
And I have every reason to worry about my brother.
Becca's neighbor did say she went out to meet with someone. No specific names. If I'm wrong and she's not with Professor Clark, then maybe it's with Zach. They've never been close, but it's not the kind of awkward friendship where meeting together remains out of the question. Regardless, I continue dialing for his phone in another 3 times, like I've done with Becca's. In the end, after the 3rd attempt with no one answering, I stop and move to cut the call with a ragged exhale.
Waiting game it is, then.
I've been trained for those. Hell, I'm used to them. Just not when it comes to people I'm close to. Much as I keep reminding myself to maintain a level head, it's a whole different matter when it's someone you know. Personal feelings will likely get involved at some point. It's starting now, actually, with the anxious strings coiling and uncoiling, causing a racket inside my stomach. That's exactly when the line finally connects. Before he even speaks, my question has already slipped out, including every pent-up worry and tension in my body.
Where are you?
The line's choppy, though I can still make out the words he's saying. Nothing to worry about then. He's just someplace where network coverage is shitty. Can't imagine where at this time of the morning, though. Did he go out for a jog?
What was that, Ash? Could you repeat that? Signal shitty here.
I asked, where are you? Hell, Zach, I've been calling your number for a good 20 minutes now. What kind of shithole did you get into?
I've meant that to sound as friendly as possible, to keep things light at least. Instead, only the frustration shows in my tone.
Good morning to you, too. I should be asking you that question. I've been looking all over the mansion for you. I thought you'd be...
What mansion?
Do I really need to answer that?
Why are you even...
Please don't tell me that's his plan. A morning visit to the mansion, where Luke Wright is. Of all the pig-headed things to do right now, it's the best thing he could come up with. Breaking and entering. I've got plenty of reasons to rail at him right now. Although no matter how much I want to give him a piece of my mind, unfortunately, it's not the time.
No. No, wait. Just get your ass to Isabella's place, and hurry.
He pauses a moment, a second of indecision while he seems to contemplate his options.
How urgent is this?
In truth, the question, the hesitance and the indecision in his voice has caught me completely off guard, and understanding dawns on me. His decision to go there isn't one born out of a stupid impulse. He must have found something. However, no matter how urgent it is, he still shouldn't have gone there, alone at that. Despite myself in that split second of comprehension, I allow it to show. A weakness. A simple request brimming with every unease and disquiet causing turmoil within me since last night. It bears a selfish hope that he'll understand, even through the unstable signal, that whatever's keeping him there, he'll be willing to set it aside for now.
Pressing enough for you to stop asking questions and get yourself here. Please, Zach.
Silence fills the other end of the line again. For a long moment, I assume he won't heed it, and I'll have to drive there myself just to drag him away from whatever dangers he's skirting. Thankfully, he agrees.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or two tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
Relief washes over me as soon as the call ends. Okay, we know Zach was safe. After that close call, Ashton spent the night at Isabella's, only to be kept awake by nightmares. And under loss, and with all of his beliefs overturned, Ashton decided to check on Zachary and Rebecca. Unfortunately, only Zachary returned his calls. Oh, fudge. Normally, I don't let myself a moment of respite in times like this. Gotta stay alert. Rebecca's still out there, has yet to return any of my messages. But for the moment, I relish in it. This is probably the first time I've permitted myself to do so since last night. Even the muscles in my shoulders have been complaining from all the tension I've taken on. It still annoys me that all I can do right now is grit my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxbourne and Anslem isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. The city's too big a place for one person to go searching for only two people. I'll be lucky if I even glimpse the hair of either of them. With one last hopeful glance towards the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and close the door behind me. Might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so when it's the people you care about.
You're up early. I thought you left.
This isn't the first time I've seen Isabella like this. Standing casually over by her kitchenette, a ladle in hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stewing on the stove, while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it's become a common sight after the three of them, including Zach and Rebecca, found a mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it that way. Healthier, she claims. Zach's just too happy to be able to cook for everyone. Isabella, on the other hand, as long as there's food, she's happy. Me? I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. Easier times. Good times. Right now, however, the scene brings an odd sense of normalcy, a strange fit with all of the things going on around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose. Isabella doesn't follow up on her question earlier, but she does raise an eyebrow my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response, and a short answer.
I've checked with Zach and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
I'll add in a quip or two for her, if the timing for her joke isn't off, or doing so won't be inappropriate. I don't want to alarm her either. There's no reason to. Yet. Until Zach gets here, or until I've received an answer from Rebecca, whichever comes first. See, story updated. I'm guessing if she was still alive, she'd have replied. Nevertheless, it's clear she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle crease between her eyebrows and the inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all of her questions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hand in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zach's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Now shoo, go.
I'm afraid of pressure cookers as well, to be
Stop
honest.
hovering! You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
She leaves no room for an argument by swatting the ladle at me, and just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Left with nothing else to do, I drift back to our tiny living space and slump down on the couch. Closing my eyes, I allow the noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from the cage I've built around them, so I won't have to think. One by one they trickle back into my consciousness, each more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on, so many things happening. The papers we've gotten from BRC don't provide any comfort either. Seriously, is there even a point to those after last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, this has only proved there might be more copies of that dumb piece of paper. We have one here, but how many exactly is there out there? More importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton.
Damn it, I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca, Zach, Isabella.
They're all depending on me, and...
Ash!
The voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything and running a racket inside my head. Suddenly Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I crack an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I bent over and buried my head in my hands. Figures why she's staring at me like I fainted or something. The crease on her eyebrows grow deeper at my lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me, without saying a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
Sorry. I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment she seems to accept that. Quietly she shifts, stands up, and takes the empty space right beside me. All done without a single comment. Then, the next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl in my hands. The scent reaches me first, before I've gotten the chance to take in what she has just handed me. A faint, sweet smell of cocoa wafts from the dish. Calming, comforting, despite the multitude of things bothering me. It certainly smells like the kind of food you'll eat on a rainy day. Though, from the get-go, it doesn't look as appetizing. What is this even? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it? And milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, yet here she is handing me something equally as strange. In fact, she's already started digging in hers. I'm just not sure if the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glance her way. She offers no immediate answer, simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, with her focus solely on the television. She's not watching, however, just listening. As a background noise, the voices from it seem too cheerful. A welcome distraction, if anything. It's only after she's finished half of her bowl does she acknowledge the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish in her lap and looks down at it. Briefly her lips part, then close. A hesitation, though I don't push her. There's a distant air on her, as if she has remembered something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's in a tone too careful. She's still weighing her words, considering the proper phrasing for it. Yet, sincerity underlies each syllable once they're out in the open.
You should eat. Back at home, Mama would never let us leave the house if we hadn't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has gotten an earful when he tried.
Good.
So eat. You'll need it.
She returns to her food afterwards, while I can only stare at the one she has proffered a few minutes ago, warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate this, but what good will this do? Zach and Rebecca's both out there. Who knows when that ghost will show up again? Even in our dreams, we're not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when, and at present we have a chance at respite. We'll be the only one we'll have. Even if it's as mundane as sharing food between us, quietly, just sitting side by side like this, without exchanging any words. The intent hangs unspoken in the air, something that probably goes as far back as the second she offered food. Still, in the end, Isabella's never pushed it. Rather, she lets her own silence convey her hope. Whether I'll allow myself for that break, she leaves it up to me. Of course we take her off it, man.
Thank you.
Damn it, Ashton, do I have to do everything for you?